Hi, Janine.
Hi,
Wonderful
Dr.
to see you
Golda.
today. I'm
Thank
so
you.
grateful that we're getting this time together to really look at who is Saber Science and how regeneration health and Saber Science are going to work together, or are working together, because we've been working together for almost 20 years now. Just briefly, for those that are tuning in for the first time, I'm Dr. Golda Joseph. I have a doctorate in the philosophy of nutrition. And I looked at nutrition both on a physical level and on a mental level, or mind, body, soul level, to really look at what does it mean to have full nutrition. That was what my dissertation was about. And I've been a practitioner since 1972. And many of you will hear my personal story. And I'm super grateful that I found Saber Science in menopause, when I was desperate and almost lost my life. Um, and it really was about Saber that I was able to overcome the very stressful condition that I was in. So I love Saber Science. I love this work. And I have been really honored over the last 20 years to be working together with you, Janine, and your community. And now to be able to really work on sharing this and distributing it to other professionals. And as a physician, and my husband is also a physician, I've worked a lot. We actually had the first holistic healthcare center in the Bay Area in 1980, both in San Francisco and San Rafael. So I've been in the game in healthcare for a long time, both as clinician and also as consultant on stress-related cases that didn't resolve, neuromusculoskeletal injuries, and worked with many insurance companies and self-insured corporations to really deal with such issues as stress and burnout. And that's one of our key motivators to understanding how the body operates. And we'll talk more about that today. But before we go on, Janine, I'm going to give you a moment to introduce yourself to those that are like just tuning in for the first time. And then we're going to look at learning more about who Saber is and how we work together.
Nice. Thank you. And I love hearing your story. Every time I hear it, it just touches me and it reminds me of my story and all of the strong women and healers that I have had the pleasure of working with in my career have almost all of them come through Saber Sciences or networked through people that I met on this journey. And so, yes, I am grateful to Saber as well. And the work we do is 100% unique. I don't know of any other company that does quite the extent of what we offer. So yeah, my name is Janine Stallard. I am a nutritionist. I'm the technical advisor for the laboratory. I assist in reviewing patient history, the test report, and then help in formulating and developing the customized products and complementary items, the complete protocol that we write into stages of healing, where a client is on a set amount of product and formulations, and then as they progress, we retest and pivot and modify and get you to a place of maintenance where it's a very simple program. The body doesn't need a whole lot, but it just needs those little building blocks to move it in the right direction. And it's amazing when you get that component right, how the body does so much of it on its own. I see this daily. Um, so anybody listening that maybe has struggled for a while, or chronic infection or chronic condition of some sort, know that there is a way to get that trigger piece right, that foundational element right, once you get that right, the body just takes on the life of its own. We watch the hormones take care of themselves once we get the right things addressed initially.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's really a fascinating system. Perhaps you could tell me a little bit more about the team that you work with on a daily basis at Sabre.
Well, the company was founded by, I guess, the yin yang. This is why our logo is what it is. Victor Salerno is a clinical lab scientist, came from the allopathic world, had run laboratories, and was um, the guy who ran the lab, whose job was to speak to the physician and explain it in such a way that they could then go and interpret the results to their patient. He did this daily. Um, so he was one founder. Our other founder was Dr. Michael Borkin, who is a naturopath and chiropractor and has studied endocrinology and hormone balance and imbalance, and the stress response, and has done product development and formulating, and has a long repertoire of work that he has contributed, a lifetime. Well, the two of them came together and said, we want to do something better about what we're seeing on these lab reports, because a lot of what we have on the shelf over here don't quite hit the target. They have other ingredients that will harm the body. And these medications over here have the long list of side effects that also harm the body. And no one's really getting well. It's a staggered game of you make progress and you revert, and progress and revert. So I said, we want to do something about this. And they started looking into it, developed certain lab methods where people could test at home certain markers, and then developed a repertoire of ingredients that could be custom blended, where they could target what you need, what you need, what you need. And they watched what happened. And over the years, we developed that. And now we've turned this into a laboratory, manufacturing company, supplement house, where we look primarily at the stress systems of the body, which is called your HPA system, hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal. Um, these are your stress responders. So our primary focus is on the stress hormone and amino acids, the chemicals, but we also look at the sex hormones, because there is a very direct relationship between your stress response and where your hormone levels are going to be, that balance. And so going back to what I was saying, is getting your foundation piece right, that what I call the trigger package to wellness. Getting that right is almost always adrenal related. When we have that as our primary focus, we have very good success at the other secondary surrounding symptoms that pop up as a result of, Yeah, so
Yeah.
those are our two founders. And then we've worked with pathologists, PhDs, other naturopaths, other chiropractors, other nutritional PhDs like yourself, just a, a variety of disciplines. Sabre's roots are in research. We've done research for universities, been on clinical studies, and that research has contributed to the development of our own formulas, our own products. We watch trends, and we see what happens on test results with different populations. And then that goes into what we offer you, what we see as effective for our ingredients.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
great. I know last time I visited the lab, I was introduced to a biochemist who was a PhD biochemist,
Mm-hmm.
who
Yeah.
was, kind of overseeing every sample that came in. And so there's a bigger team
Yes,
behind
the
you,
chemists
a
as
medical
well.
doctor that
Yeah.
qualifies to as a backup. So there is a whole medical team
There
that is
is, there
part
is. And
of our work here.
we don't ever bring any product to market that hasn't been well validated, well studied. I will tell you, I've been with the company long enough that I've seen what could be considered very simple vitamin or simple combination, we wouldn't touch it until we had enough information to know hormonally, metabolically, on a stress impact level, what it does exactly to the body, because we work with the people that are more sensitive, or the sick of the sick, because those are usually the ones that find us, that are searching, right? You need extra help. And so in those situations, we know that we need to be very aware and come at it from a very mindful, gentle approach. Um, because the more layers there are to illness or to what you're dealing with, um, there's more a variety of what the reaction's going to be. It's unpredictable, because you never know which is going to respond first. But the lab testing, the more in-depth we can do, really helps to take that guesswork out of it. So then we can have, like I say, very streamlined approach, program of 1, 2, 3, and stage it, where you have more success.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
love that. I love that we can blend the laboratory findings as a practitioner with my client specifically. And we all know that one size does not fit all when it comes to nutrition or interventions that work, and being able to really very having
Mm-hmm.
customized
Mm-hmm.
programs. Really, that's, I think, where our niche is in being able to help those people that really, for the doctors, are a huge challenge, because they are so chemically sensitive and have been through many, many different experiences, and are self-medicating, many of them. And
Yeah,
they have
which
no
sadly
idea
creates a
what's,
whole other world of symptom. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, we're, especially as women, uh, once we enter right past 35 and enter perimenopause, we're set with all these symptoms that we really have no control over. They begin to control us. And even if someone like myself, who took very good care and was always on supplements and very knowledgeable about food and lifestyle and detox and all of that, it didn't stop me from almost
Nature takes
dying.
its course. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
We
I
all
can
need, it's
handle,
okay to ask for help.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I can handle even like the car door closing. I was
Oh,
so,
wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was really, really, but when I got tested, finally, I realized I had zero estrogen.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think many women that I have helped over the years, in their late 40s, early 50s, who, have been doing natural things, and supporting themselves, are really lost right now, without
Mm.
saber science, without a validated way to go through the stages to rebuild the system, with professionals like your team, and being able to retest and manage. I think it's a huge solution for this whole field of neuroendocrinology and immunology, and even all the digestive,
It's
sleep
all
problems
related
that
to
we see. It's
adrenal.
all right, right, and moods, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, you can't
And
separate the mind and the body, so.
right, right. It has to go. One has to follow the other. And what we do really is, I don't want to overwhelm any practitioner that might be watching. Our job is to streamline the process. You don't have to go take a crash course in endocrinology and biochemistry to be able to implement this. We take that workload off of you. So we've been doing this over 25 years. We've got lifetimes of career dedicated experience to this, where it's a basic, hey, I've got a client that really needs something customized, this on the shelf, it's not working. How about you use this lab, get a test, know what's happening in your body, and they will put together what you need, tell you what you don't need. And another component to this is people that might be on a long list of pills or supplements. A lot of times we can consolidate that. We can review it and say, you know what? The majority of those can be fit into a nutritional powder. Now you've got one product versus 15. And we can formulate exactly based on the lab, metabolically, what you can tolerate, what you can handle, and what's going to be actually beneficial versus wasting, you excrete it out. So we take care of all that. You do the test, we put together the recommendation, and then you can order the product. Boom, boom, boom. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time scratching your head thinking, well, what should I suggest and formulate? Do I Google what, what to take for low estrogen? We put it all together for you.
Yeah, it's really an amazing system and so easy for the doctors and nutritionists to work with, and it takes the guesswork out of it.
Totally.
So, because you can spend years experimenting. Also, you lose a lot of clients if they don't get results and they don't feel like they're in somebody's hands that really can meet their individual
Yeah.
needs.
Yeah. And there is something to it, keeping it all in-house where the laboratory, the manufacturing side, it's all one. So that information gets translated and considered in the fullest scope that it can. Nothing's getting lost where, no one knows how to read our results like we do.
Yeah.
This is what we do every single day, all day.
Yes.
And we know how certain ingredients are going to influence those levels. So getting that milligram dosage, choosing the formula for that individual, all of that, it's best to keep that in-house. Then nothing gets lost. You've got one place where it's all taken care of. It's very streamlined.
Yeah. No, it's a perfect system, and it saves the providers a ton of time. And even, working with compounding pharmacies that only have a certain amount, and they expect the doctor to write a prescription for whatever the doctor knows, but they don't have the correct information. And I think that's really something that we need to spend more time on, is really looking at what is the distinction between a one-time blood analysis that gives us some information versus a 24-hour collection of saliva followed by a urine test, which we do it with our at-home test kits over that 24-hour circadian rhythm that actually reads the person's ability to cope with the stress.
Yeah.
Looks at cortisol and many other factors. So let's talk about that a little. The distinction between a blood test for hormone replacement therapy, or we talk a lot about amino acids that are the precursors to support the creation of hormones. How and why did Dr. Borkin and Victor and the other team members decide to go with this 24-hour approach versus a one-time blood analysis?
Well, it was primarily the adrenal response because they knew there was underlying stress response interfering with things. We recommend blood work as well when it's necessary. Of course, you need a lot of information when you're putting together a protocol for somebody, but blood and saliva are very different in terms of hormone testing. The blood typically looks at what the total amount that you're producing, the total amount of hormone, but not all of that, it has the receptors to be utilized. Not all of that is free or active. The saliva differentiates and looks at just the active component, what's called the bioavailable component. So it's good to compare of the total, how much is getting used. Now, on a blood test, sometimes the doctor can also order the blood free and total. So you're getting that from that perspective from the blood, but it's always going to be a little bit different than what you see in the saliva. And in terms of the 24-hour circadian, there are dramatic changes in cortisol production from day to night. And all of that matters. And we've been part of the research on, and there's a ton of other research, is that these rhythmic fluctuations in cortisol are linked to certain functions in our endocrine system, in our nervous system, our immune system. All of that is linked to the time of day when these fluctuations occur. So then now that gives greater insight into what fits the profile of this client you're working with. Do they have a history of that? Is that manifesting here as a stress response, something that is taking extra work on the body that allows you to hone in on what is the target piece for this person? And then also getting that overall status of a patient's, for example, their cortisol at 8 a.m. can be normal. In fact, most people, it is normal, but it's not until later in the day that we begin to see the out of range or the imbalance occur. And if we hadn't tested that, they would have been brushed aside as, I don't know why you have these symptoms. Your labs are normal. Perhaps you need an antidepressant. And someone that gets frustrated and thrown into that category.
Right.
And we wonder, like you said, well, the mind, body, it does follow each other, but I often wonder, which came first. I think the mental emotional gets aggravated from the lack of physical attention when somebody is saying, please help me. I know there's something not right. You've
Yes.
got to do the right testing to validate that and know where to begin.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Just
anyway,
sense.
I hope that kind of answers a little bit the difference between saliva and blood. Saliva is looking at active free fraction. And because it's saliva, you can do it at home. So we get that rhythmic, we're looking at the circadian. And the free fraction is what you want in terms of supplementation, because you need to know what the body needs or doesn't need, what is
Mhm.
active. We want to influence the active. So,
Fantastic. It's very
yeah,
helpful. And I think many physicians and nutritionists are basically prescribing from just the one-time blood tests versus really looking at the circadian rhythm and how the entire endocrine system, how the entire neurological system, and obviously it's all connected mind body, but at the same time women are told often they're like, you're making it up, it's not,
not
it's
that
not
bad.
until the hot flashes are so uncomfortable, and it's just like, okay, well, I'm gonna go get a pellet put in, or I'm going to,
Birth
so
control or some,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, the key again is really meeting people where they are, which we
yeah,
really do one-on-one. And everyone's talking about personalization and customization. And I think what Sabre brings to Regeneration Health is precision. That's what
absolutely.
really moves me, that precise ability to work with the person, and as they change, to compare over a 3-month, 6-month, 1 year, really begin to see the effectiveness of the supplementation, which is totally missing from nutrition, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
We're really filling in gaps. And I have been all over the world and obviously a practitioner for 50 years now, and I have not found anyone other than Sabre that can do what we're doing. So, it's really been an honor and a blessing to be with you and Victor and Dr. Borkin for the last 20 years to really go, this really needs to be seen and heard and brought into the world. And really appreciate your time today and the other times that we've spoken. It is really helpful, I think, for people to hear from you, somebody who's working with thousands of people over the last 20 some years, to really understand, well, where and how are we different? And how can we complement what they're doing? We're not asking anyone to stop doing what they're doing. We're really looking at, so how can we validate and get more and more precise and specific to really monitor and measure as the woman or man goes through the aging process. Yeah,
Yes.
I love that I've been with you for over 20 years because I feel like I'm being held by
Yeah. Well, we know your trends and your patterns. We've got all that history. And so when we customize, oh, I know how you respond. It's hard to put it to words, but there's labs and clients that I've worked with repeatedly throughout the years, my 20 years there. And it's just becomes an intuitive thing where, oh yeah, okay, I know this is how your body handles. So we're going to formulate like this and I'll work with you. And it's beautiful to have someone got your back that way, you know?
yeah. Yeah, and it's somebody who is external, who is a qualified lab. So
Mhm.
talk to me a little bit about the qualifications that the Saber Science Lab has, because I know
So
that's
we,
something doctors want to know.
yeah, yeah. So we are FDA registered as a laboratory and manufacturing company, and we are working our way toward the CLIA, CLIA certification. Um, we are a research lab. All information, whatever is sent to us, is 100% private. We are, HIPAA compliant. Nothing is ever shared. It's all in our internal database, so it's all very secure. And I'm trying to think what else. We follow GMP guidelines. We're GMP compliant. As far as the manufacturing goes, the ingredients that we have are all um, validated by in-house testing, the certificates of analysis, it's all validated. We source ingredients that are as clean and pure as possible, that are in their, preferred forms. So, I mean, yeah, we've got like I say, our inventory of ingredients is vast, is beautiful. So when we make customized, it's truly custom. And you even get your choice if you would tolerate a cream, a transdermal, a liposome liquid, a powder. We can do different mediums of custom blends.
Fantastic.
Hmm.
Well, I know you and I know your company and all of the people in it, and I trust you impeccably. And all of those credentials and validations that you have received and worked toward over the last 25 years, very impressive. So
Hmm.
obviously we have documentation on all of that. So if anybody
Yep.
has a question or wants to see a past study or qualify the lab, we're totally available to do that.
Hmm. Hmm. Yep.
And,
I
we
mean, everyone that works, we're a family-run company, from our family to yours. We trust our products with our family, my children, I take them, my friends and family. Yeah, so it's all very much, like I said, these are our roots, is in we bring the clinical side to the natural approach. So we don't offer a product or even a formula until we see it's been proven, validated, it is safe. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's the best of both worlds.
It is, yeah. If you're going to take this approach, why not take, like you say, it's taking the guesswork out. And really it puts you on the fast track to getting better. I
Yeah.
guess I'm sure you've seen it, I've seen it, and I've even experienced it where you think, oh, I'm going to do this or that. And the wrong products can create a whole new list of symptoms and set you so far back.
Yes.
Our bodies are more responsive than we know, than sometimes we can even feel until too late down the road. So having the lab studies are so ideal, is so important. Know yourself, right? That's the beginning of all knowledge and wisdom.
Yes.
Mhm.
I love that. I think that's a perfect ending for our conversation today. We'll be back next week
Okay, thank
for
you.
more. You were wonderful. Thank you for the depth and the clarity that you have and that you provide for our audience. And I look forward to many more conversations. So thank you
Absolutely.
for
Thank you,
your
Dr.
time and
Golda.
your energy. And I look forward to bringing a lot of new providers and practitioners and healers, therapists, nutritionists to Sabre through Regeneration Health. And, it's never too late to regenerate. And I love that you bring the science to the art.
Thank you. I love that you're bringing this to the world. This is wonderful combo.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I look forward to more time together. See you next week.
Thank you. Right. Bye.
Bye.